What's up, leaders? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Lead From Here podcast. I'm Jason. Today we are talking about the last 5 episodes, which covered 5 different time management techniques. Pomodoro technique, time blocking, time management matrix, Parkinson's law, and the Pareto Principle. So we covered all 5 of those things individually and talked about their strengths, their weaknesses, and all those things. From here, I wanted to talk about how I use basically all of them in their own way throughout my week to do the things I need to do on a daily basis. Now you may say, like, well, what if I only want to use one? Yes, absolutely, go for it. If one fits your work and the way you work and the way your brain works, fantastic, do it. Pick the one that works the best for you and go for it. I'm certainly not saying that mine is the only way. I happen to think that it's a really balanced way to approach work, especially if you're a leader and you have a bunch of other things going on. But for me, it's a kind of a culmination of all of them. So I'm going to dive into what that looks like, but again, if anything works for you singly or 2 or 3 or whatever works for you, make it work. I think this is a good balanced way, so if you like this way, adopt it, use it, go for it. So as I dove into time management and productivity, the first place I landed was Pomodoro, and I like Pomodoro out of the gate, and I spoke about this in the video, but ultimately, it fell short for me because a lot of the work I do is bigger, deeper work, so I need to be able to do that. But that doesn't mean there's not a place for that. So I actually use it on days where I have a lot of meetings. I use that pretty much exclusively. I set up Pomodoros to do the little things I need to do in between meetings, because when you have a day filled with a bunch of meetings, it's difficult to be able to get into deep work because you're constantly shifting between meetings. You maybe have 30-minute gaps or 1-hour gaps here and there, but if that's the case, if that's what my day looks like, I'm setting up Pomodoro. If I have a day that has not a lot of meetings, then it's a mixture of Pomodoro and time blocking. And time blocking is what I use exclusively for anything that's not like tedious one-off quick tasks. These are for anything that's basically like an hour or more. That's typically what I use time blocking for, and I tend to look at my week ahead of time and look at all the meetings I have. Obviously things come up, but generally speaking, that allows me to get a pretty good idea of what I'm going to get done in the week by setting up my chunks of Pomodoro or my chunks of time blocking, the things that I'm going to do and the things I'm going to focus on based on my current to-do list. So where does the to-do list come from? And that's where the next 3 come into play: time management matrix, Pareto Principle, and Parkinson's law. I start to look at all the things that are coming in and I try to understand what's coming in, what's the urgency, what's the importance, and then from there, look at how do I approach this work and how do I make sure that it doesn't take too long, but I also make sure I leave myself enough time. Lastly, using the Pareto Principle, I use the 80-20 to make sure I'm working on the things that are very focused. For me, I have a lot of things going on. I have my current job, which takes up my entire day, right, and some, as the director of software engineering for a tech company. I'm obviously the host of this podcast. I also run a golf tournament, a memorial golf tournament for my brother every year. I don't run it by myself. I co-host it with my family, but it's something that takes a lot of time for me, especially in the summer months. So between those things and then all the other host of things I love to do, the passion projects I have, whether that's teaching people how to code or just building things that I hope will help people. Outside of my daily job, I'm also working on those passion projects and the Selling Memorial, which is the golf tournament, and things like that, outside of family time too. So I want to make sure I have very small gaps of time in the evenings now where I can get things done. So I want to make sure I'm working on the right things. And I want to make sure I'm not spinning my wheels on them a lot. And when I do that, that's when I tend to get frustrated, get burnt out, and put myself in a situation where nothing gets done outside of my daily job. So the time management matrix allows me to take information in and understand its importance and its urgency and really get into the right spot. Is it something that I don't even need to deal with? Is it something I need to deal with right now? Is it something that I can find other ways to get done or maybe ignore? And then things that I know I need to get done longer term that I have to focus on and plan more effectively. Then from there, I'm using Parkinson's law to make sure that I'm checking myself. When I look at something, I go, oh man, it's going to take 2 weeks. Is it really going to take 2 weeks? Is it something I can push myself on and get it done in a week? Then from there, I use the Pareto Principle to make sure that within those things that I'm doing, am I focused on the right parts of it? Am I doing the things that can create the most bang for my buck when it comes to time invested? All those things come together to make a system that I think works pretty well. And I utilize Google Calendar a lot. I was using Todoist for a very long time. I've recently moved to Motion, and it's interesting to me, and I'm still new with it, so I'm not going to review it or say it's amazing. I'm certainly not sponsored by them, but ultimately I've found it interesting because it uses AI to take your tasks. So I put them in a project task like a to-do list, give them priority, give them deadlines and all that stuff based on running it through the time management matrix and Parkinson's law and making sure that I am putting it in the right spot. So I have all that stuff in a project. This tool, Motion, takes that stuff and puts it in between my meetings that are already created. So I'm not doing things on top of my work or on top of my meetings, it knows not to block over those. And the great thing is I'm able to actually set up work hours. So I have a chunk of work hours for my day, my actual work day, and I have a chunk of work hours for the night where it has family time blocked out, and then it also has time for me to work. So it knows that anything that's in the Bullhorn project goes into my company day-to-day work, and anything that's in the other projects goes to either my morning time or my evening time. It all does that automatically, which I found interesting, and I like it. I wish it worked a little better because it's a little messy and it kind of is all over the place and things move if you don't get them done. Like if you don't remember to check it before it's completed, it automatically moves it. And it's like, it was done, I got it done, but now it's moved to another day and then I got to mark it done and then it leaves that spot blocked. It's not ideal, but it does get me closer to where I want to be, which is more hands off on the actual scheduling of my week, because ultimately, I do have a lot of things to do. I'm playing project manager, I'm playing developer, I'm playing designer, I'm playing all those different things for all the passion projects I have, for my internal tooling, for my work, for the company I work for anything else that I'm doing that is not just me thinking. It's hard for me to take time out to be like, okay, now I need to move this task into this spot and this task. If I have a meeting get moved into, or somebody creates a meeting on my work calendar, it automatically flows into motion and moves that work task I had to another day, or my next gap and all that stuff. So it ends up looking at the priority and all those things, which is fantastic. And it's very helpful for me to be able to just keep moving forward with my week. And generally speaking, it does a pretty good job. So that's it. That's kind of what my time management situation looks like. That's what my system looks like. It looks like Pomodoro and time blocking is how I set up my work for the week, and time management matrix, Parkinson's law, and Pareto Principle on how I organize and plan. Then utilizing a tool like Motion to set it all up. And then all those things, all the changes that happen in Motion automatically feed to my work calendar, my personal calendars, all that stuff. So it's one great spot for me to look at my phone or my laptop, be able to see exactly where my day is at and what it looks like from 5:30 or 6 when we get up to 10, 11, 12 at night when I go to bed. I know that I'm effectively using my time outside of my family time and my meeting time within my day. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this. If you guys have something similar or your own system, I would love to hear other people's systems, because I'm always interested in learning and growing and finding ways to do things better. I certainly don't think this is the end all be all, and honestly it's fairly new to me, how I'm processing, how I'm using Motion and things like that. So I'm still looking to tweak it and evolve it, and other information is always helpful. So yeah, if you disagree, if you think this is a terrible idea, please, again, let me know. If you got something better, I'd love to hear it. And ultimately, yeah, this is what it looks like. If you want to see this live and want me to do like a screen share and show, kind of how I use the tool and how I process to-dos and how I process all that stuff, happy to do that if that's interesting to anybody. So let me know in the comments, hit me up on the DM on jason@leavefromhere.co. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Take care of yourselves, take care of the people around you, and if you like what you're hearing, please like, subscribe, follow. I would greatly appreciate it. Take care.